Hello, welcome to the Hermitage in Montreux, Switzerland. Here he is, the pirate of Lake Geneva. This time I brought you some eels. You're spoiling us today. For once he's not empty-handed. Our dear fisherman, he warms the cockles of your heart. So there you've got a few local varieties. A monkfish. Oh, it's a beauty. Monkfish is really delicious, filleted. You know what this little hook is for? It's hidden, and then it sticks out just a bit, and when a little fish bites, it gets swallowed. Oh, that's very clever of the monkfish. And that fish we call a ferron. It's a delicacy of Lac Léman. These are char, which we'll use to make a recipe later. A lovely pike. You prepare it in steaks? Yes, I think a nice pike steak in butter sauce. You have to scale it then, cut here. You take off the fin, you take off the dorsal fin too, and you cut the end off the tail. Yes, it's a beauty. Huh? Don't know what it measures, but it's a good size. Must be a meter or more. Now we're going to prepare a recipe of lake fish from the lake right behind me, the Lac Léman, or Lake Geneva in English. It's a lake char made with mushrooms, oil and parsley. So we're going to need a char, some mushrooms, chopped parsley and garlic, shallots, lemon juice, flat-leaf parsley, grapeseed oil to make the parsley oil, a little bit of beef broth, and then some olive oil. Here I have my parsley oil that I made in the blender using grapeseed oil, parsley and salt and pepper, giving us a sauce that is quite green and very aromatic. And here we also have the mushroom mixture, which I've prepared in a frying pan with olive oils and the shallots, with the chopped parsley and the garlic, and it's all been thickened up a little bit with the reduced veal broth. Now I'm going to cook the char fillet. Which I'm going to roast in some olive oil. And the important thing is not to use too high a heat on the fillet. And that way you get a nice tender fillet. Now I take the mushroom ragout and prepare a little bed with it. The center of attention, of course, should still be the fish. And now I add my parsley oil, which I've heated. But don't heat it too much, or it'll lose its nice green color. And now I place my char fillet. And here we have a lovely lake fish in a very attractive composition. With your char, let me suggest this first growth Chatonne, a 1999 vintage from Monsieur Cossy's Herbelière estate. It's made from a chasselas grape that has strong fruity tones, especially quince. It's a somewhat heavy wine, but it ends with a good acidity. Enjoy your meal. And now we're going to make a little appetizer. It's a foie gras stew with celeriac. To make this, we'll need a lobe of foie gras, some extra fine salt, some Madeira, a head of celeriac, and a heavy poultry broth. I began by putting the celeriac, diced into small cubes, to cook in the poultry broth, flavored with a little Madeira, which we let simmer for about 7 or 8 minutes. Meanwhile, I'll cut the foie gras into large cubes, and then I season it with salt and pepper. And then we put it into this broth, which is flavored with celery. You must be careful not to cook it too hot. You just want to simmer it and bubble for a minute or two. Using a wide-lipped shallow bowl like this, I'll just place a few strings of celeriac that I prepared by cutting a few very fine slices of celeriac, which I then julienned and put into the fryer. So I put these brown strings in like so, and so they're a logical addition because the recipe is celery-based. I also add a pinch of extra fine salt into the bowl. The foie gras has finished simmering, so we'll serve it now like a broth. And you can also see the cubes of celery, of course. That's enough. And now we can finish the arrangement with a few pieces of fried celery, which I also made from slices of celery. And now our foie gras stew with celery is finished. And what's more, it smells very good. Now we're going to prepare a recipe of Guinea fowl with candied endives and spice wine. I need a fillet of Guinea hen, cloves, nutmeg, cinnamon, vanilla, raspberries, endives, sugar, red wine, and lemon juice. I'll start by making the spice wine, which we call Hippocras, and it's the key to the recipe. It's a red wine flavored with vanilla, raspberries, cinnamon, cloves, and ground nutmeg. We bring the mixture to a boil, and then we remove it from the heat, and then we let it steep overnight. I'm going to deglaze my caramel using this spice wine. And we let the mixture reduce almost to the point of crystallization, so it's very concentrated. It takes about an hour or so to get a spice concentrate like this. It tastes something of raspberry, and it's very pleasant. Here I have the endives, which I've thinly sliced, directly into this cooking pot with the butter, sugar and salt. Now don't be afraid to use enough sugar, since endives are rather bitter. Over here, I've prepared a few roasted endive leaves to be used as decoration. And here I have the fillet of Guinea hen, which we cook rare so that it remains nice and tender. And here's my Hippocras sauce. This is the Hippocras we made earlier, and to which I've added just a little bit of poultry base. Here are my endives. A few leaves for decoration. That's optional, of course. I drain the poultry a little, just to get rid of the excess fat. And I place it on the endives. And I add a few threads of cinnamon and of vanilla, which are ingredients in the spice wine and thus thematically relevant here. And then I add the sauce. There we are. I find this fantastic. This isn't Swiss cuisine, since we make a lot of dishes with olive oil, and Swiss cuisine is really somewhat heavy. There's probably a Swiss ancestry in the basics of some of my recipes, classics that I've modified to appeal to today's tastes, but it's difficult to put a label on my cuisine. I like the expression spontaneous cuisine. I think one should cook with a lot of spontaneity, because that really contributes to the pleasure. At the second plate, I still don't know what the third plate is going to be, and it just comes to me on the spot in relation to whatever's around me, what the clients and the ambience are like. Yes, it's really a cuisine based on mood sometimes, so being on the alert with all your senses responding is a great pleasure when there's such motivation, so much excitement in doing the job. It's really something fabulous, and I think I'm one of the lucky people of the world. Now we're going to make another nice dessert. It's a rhubarb sweet with cinnamon. I need some fritter pastry, butter, cinnamon, marzipan, some rhubarb peeled and diced large, and sugar. To start with, I'll need the rhubarb that was diced earlier and that I sautéed in some butter with a little sugar and cinnamon, and which I left to drain. You can see how much water it's given off. Now I'll make the sweet itself. I take a leaf of fritter pastry, which will fold double because there's still a lot of moisture in the rhubarb, and it's important to have lots of protection. We'll also get some protection from extra moisture from this marzipan that acts something like a blotter inside the pastry. I put in just a little bit of rhubarb, not too much. And then I roll it on itself like this, nice and tight. And next I fold it under, and I attach it like a sweet, making it attractive, and it looks rather original. It's important not to prepare these too far in advance, because with all the moisture they might go soft. I put them into cook in clarified butter that's quite hot. You've got to be careful here, because with the sugar in the marzipan and the rhubarb, and with this heat, it tends to caramelize and it browns very quickly. Here are the rhubarb sweets, browned and crispy. And now we'll dress the plate. These flavors are a bit out of the ordinary, but they go extremely well together. I place them on a bed of stewed rhubarb, which is already on the plate, first one and then a second one on top. And for a sauce, I use a reduced rhubarb juice with cinnamon. Ah, there's my little woman.
Ça va, Ida? Salut.
Ça va? C'est bien? C'est bien? Voilà, ici on est au Kouklos.
Here we are at Kouklos, overlooking Vesin. It's a revolving restaurant with a panoramic view, which lets you see everything of this magnificent environment over all the Alps. These are truly exceptional surroundings. And this is Yann and Anaïs, my two children. My two children with whom I try to spend some time, despite a job that's extremely demanding. I love moments like this, because we do a job that takes up a lot of time, and it's nice being able to get together like this. We also have another place that's even more secluded. We go as a family to a little chalet we sometimes rent for a few months in the summer, where there's no electricity or heat or hot water. It's like returning to our roots, and that does the whole family a whole world of good.